What is up, guys? Marcellus Williams, aka TheSwolefessor, here to educate you on health, fitness, social well-being. And today, guys, I want to talk about somatotypes, more commonly known as body types, because this topic has been very misconstrued. And just being really blunt with you guys, I'm getting really tired of all these emails being like, hey bro, can you help me out with this? My body type is this, so I think this is and this one. It's like, guys, your ideas of body types and how they work is based off just misinformation, myths, and BS. So let's get right into it. So starting off, you guys need to understand that the whole theory about body types, which, mind you, science has long since disproven, started in the 1940s by an American psychologist. A psychologist, not a physiologist, not any type of doctor that has anything to do with the human body, but a psychologist named, I believe it's William Herbert Sheldon. Don't quote me on that. I'll make sure, as always, guys, when I do videos like this, I'll find a link, leave the description down below, so those of you who don't want to hear what I'm saying can just go read it and see the information for yourself. But William Herbert Sheldon, and this dude was basically a psychologist who was trying to prove a theory that there's a basically a correlation or connection between someone's body type and then their psychology, like how they are mentally, basically. So for those of you who don't know, the three quote-unquote body types are ectomorph, mesomorph, endomorph. Ectomorphs are supposed to be described as very lanky, narrow people, very usually taller, stuff like that. Mesomorphs are more like some people would see me right now as a mesomorph. They're kind of in between ectomorph and endomorph, and they're kind of more built, I guess you could bodybuilder built. And then there's endomorphs, which are your heavier set individuals. And the problem with his theory, and the problem with everything that he did as far as his research, was his three body types were formed based off visual examinations alone, meaning just he looks at you and says, okay, you're this, or you're that, or you're this. And that just doesn't work for several reasons, guys. This has long been disproven for the mere fact that, one, you can't just look at someone and go, oh, he's built like this, he must be an endomorph or an ectomorph or mesomorph. Because it's if you look at me when I was just doing calisthenics years ago, when I was younger, I would have been described visually as an ectomorph. Now I'm probably seen more as a mesomorph. But the thing is, guys, when it comes to body types, no one is truly one or the other. Everyone is a combination of all three, everybody, because true body type is not determined by visually, just what you look like alone. It's determined by basically your anthropometry, which is basically your body measurement. So your width, your height, your weight, your bone density, even the ratio of bones in your limbs compared to your torso, even the length of your limbs alone, all of that goes into your actual body type, your anthropometry. And that's determined by several different factors, guys, like your genetics, your the environment you're raised in, even cultural aspects, the type of foods that you may eat more in a culture, your nutrition, your exercise, your rate of activity. All of that goes into it, guys. All of that goes into your genetics. And the thing that you guys have to understand is the only time body types are ever looked at, the only time body types ever actually matter, is when we're looking at things like anthropometry, so that we can look at things such as biomechanics, exercise physiology, and biology, to have a better idea of how certain leverages, certain builds may help you, in terms of your fitness. For example, I've talked to you guys before in my video over genetics how certain leverages, depending on where your muscles insert, or maybe how short or tall you are compared to how long your limbs are, can either give you an advantage or a disadvantage on certain lifts, for example. For example, if you have very, very long arms, then bench press may be a little bit harder for you. But if you are shorter but have long arms, then deadlifts may be a lot easier for you. So things like that, that's the only time we look at that. But the problem is, people look at just the body type visually, and they try to base their nutrition and their workouts based off that. And this is where, once again, the fitness industry has taken a myth that probably most of them know isn't true, but perpetuated because they can make profit off of it. Because if I can sell the idea that, hey, you have to eat and train differently than everyone else based off of your body type, that means I can sell you a certain type of program, sell somebody else a certain type of program, sell this other person a type of program, when really that's nonsense, because everyone's a combination of all three. For example, you can be someone who's taller, heavier, but doesn't have a whole lot of muscle mass on them, right? And at the same time, you can be someone who's more like me. I don't weigh that much, guys. I'm 160 right now. I'm shorter. I don't weigh as much, but I have more musculature than maybe a taller person who's heavier but has less musculature. So we're all different combinations based off these different genetic, environmental, and training factors. You have to understand like how that works. So that's the problem with trying to base your nutrition or your workout programs based off body type, guys. We still all have to have the same basic principles, being, you know, we have to make sure our nutrition's on point for based on what our goals are, whether it's weight gain through muscle mass or weight loss with burning fat. You have to make sure you're training correctly for your goals as far as, you know, properly structured workout programs, adequate weekly volume, and progressively overloading with said volume. And then of course, sleep and recovery. That is the same for everyone across the board. That doesn't change whether you see yourself as an ectomorph, an endomorph, a mesomorph. Once again, those aren't even real. Like, you're not any one of those things. You are a combination of all three for different reasons. And once again, it just doesn't make sense. People don't understand. And when I talk about things like, you know, like how culturally that can be impacted in your environment, what I mean by that is, like, aside from just environmental factors based off like where you live and climate, stuff like that, cultural factors such as, for example, if you grow up in America, then chances are you probably have a higher rate of being obese if you aren't taking care of yourself, just because of the access we have to foods and processed foods, things like that. So it's kind of like, so this person's an endomorph because they're overweight due to body fat, but once they lose that weight, are you still gonna see them as an endomorph? You see what I mean? Like, it's all nonsense. Like, none of it is based in science, and science has disproven the whole, you know, mesomorph, ectomorph, endomorph thing like a long time ago. Like, yes, it has certain merits as far as bone density and anthropometry, as I explained, but 4 key things that you guys need to keep in mind, and I actually just now thought of a really good link to put, and then I think it goes over these 4 key things. So I may have it in the wrong order, that's okay. But 4 key things that you have to understand when it comes to body types, and this is something that I learned while I was getting my degree in kinesiology, is that, first of all, like I said, everyone's a combination of all 3, period. Everybody is. Nobody is just one or the other, or you're just between these two. No, you are in some shape or form a combination of all 3. The second thing you have to understand is that your physical performance has nothing to do with your body type. Physical performance is based off your strength, your endurance, your coordination, your quickness, everything like that, and that has very little to do with your body type. The third thing is that physical fitness. So like performance, like I said, we're talking about like strength, endurance, whatever. Physical fitness is just based off your body's ability to do a certain type of work, or your body's muscles to do a certain type of work, then recover quickly and do that same type of work again. And that has nothing to do with your body type. And what I mean by that, well, okay, you can become physically fit in different areas. For example, if I take like a heavyweight powerlifter, right? As far as muscular strength, he is going to be very fit. He's going to be able to perform at that very, very well. Whereas if I take someone like a cross-country runner, in terms of how his muscles work for cross-country, he is also going to be very fit based off that. But they have very different body types, right? So you can't say that, oh, because you're this body type, you aren't fit. That's not how it works. Now, just to be clear, I'm not, then that's why I want, this is what I think about, guys. I always say here to educate you on health, fitness, and social well-being. Why? There's a difference between health and fitness. And why do I need to explain that? Because when I say that, you know, you can be a different body type but still be fit, or you can even be heavier or even overweight and still be fit in certain aspects, that doesn't mean you're healthy. I'm not one of these people who preaches the social justice warrior propaganda of, like, you know, fat, you can be healthy at any size. Like, it doesn't matter how overweight you are, how fat you are, you can still be healthy. No, you can still be fit in certain aspects. You can be overweight due to body fat or obese due to body fat and still be fit in certain aspects, maybe as far as your physical performance, but that's not the same thing as being healthy. So that's a whole different topic for another video, but I'm just making it clear that regardless of how well you perform, how fit you are in certain areas, if you're obese or overweight, not due to muscle mass, we're not talking about BMI, but due to body fat, then you by default are more susceptible to certain health issues and diseases and problems than if you were not overweight due to body fat. So let's just get that clear. And then the 4th thing that you guys have to understand is that your metabolism, like your base metabolic rate, has very little to do with your quote-unquote visual body type. Very little to do with that. That is more based off things that I've talked about in past videos before, such as like your muscle, the amount of muscle mass you have, your activity level, the amount of calories you're taking in. All of those factors play a much bigger role into what your base metabolic rate is than your body type. It's not to say that there isn't certain distinctions between, like, you know, as far as like genetics. Like, yes, genetically someone can have a slightly faster metabolism than somebody else, but the things like activity level, the amount of muscle mass they have, the amount of calories they're taking in, those factors we can control account way more heavily for your base metabolic rate than your genetics or your visual body type. And once again, the visual body type doesn't even matter. Like somebody can look physically bigger, they can look like an endomorph, but still have a much faster metabolism than somebody who's skinnier and looks like an ectomorph. So I just wanted to explain and break that down, guys, because quite frankly, like I said, when I'm doing emails for about online training and programming and stuff like that, and I ask for certain information, even though I don't ask for it, you guys feel the need to constantly give me like your body type, and then you tell me all the ideas you have about how you think you're gonna respond to certain things based on your body type. Like, oh, I think this rep range is gonna be best for me because of my body type, or I think, oh, lighter weight, more reps, or less weight, heavier reps. Even though I've already done videos over things like, you know, rep ranges, how they all work for hypertrophy, how it's about total workload done, even though I've done things over the connection between strength and hypertrophy, and I will link both of those videos down below as well with the link that I end up using for this video so you guys can read over that. But it's understanding that it doesn't matter. So I'm not saying body types don't exist, but I'm saying the way in which they've been presented, the way that somatotypes have been presented as far as ectomorph, endomorph, mesomorph, does not exist. This is not my opinion. I don't care what videos you've seen. I don't care what your favorite YouTuber said. You guys know this is facts. Science has proven this a long time ago. Like I said, the guy who came up with this stuff was a psychologist. He had an agenda. He was trying to promote this other thing as far as psychology. And like I said, it'll be linked down below. You guys can check that out. But I just wanted to make that clear so you guys have an understanding of that. Don't try to base your nutrition and training around what you think your body type is based off what you look like visually, just because, like I said, it doesn't make sense. So like, what are you gonna do if you lose 50 pounds and suddenly you're not an endomorph anymore? You visually think you're a mesomorph. Does that mean your training suddenly has to change? It's just not consistent. It's not scientific. But yeah, that's it for the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you did. If you're not, leave a comment down below letting me know what I can do to do better. Like the video, share, subscribe. Keep it simple, specific, scientific. I'll catch y'all later.